Welcome to the Morning Swim Show for Tuesday, June 29th, 2010. I'm your host, Peter Bush. In the Finis Monitor today, we'll talk to Canadian IMer Brian Johns. He just won both IM events at the Santa Clara meet. He'll compete at the Pan Pacs later this summer. And Brian Johns joins us right now in the Finis Monitor from Vancouver. Brian, welcome to the Morning Swim Show. How you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me here.
So it looks like you're at the pool. You got the today's workout right behind you.
Yeah, we have our little recovery room at the University of British Columbia pool here, and just sort of a list of things to do for the week and things that we got to get accomplished.
Well, you had a nice meet at Santa Clara. Go in there, win both IMs, and you already have the national record in the 400 IM. You seem like you're knocking on the door of that 200 IM. Is that the goal this summer?
That's one goal. The 200 IM was my record at one point, and it was broken by Keith Beavers, who broke it at the Olympics. And my plan is that if I'm going to be as fast as I want to be at the world stage, that record's just going to be a casualty on the way down. And so if I continue to progress the way that I want to, yeah, that national record should go down, and hopefully it'll be on the way to some really good performances.
Have you been able to assess yet what you think it'll take in the post-high-tech suit era to be on the medal stand at a major meet?
It's kind of difficult to call right now. We haven't quite gotten to any major performances yet at the world stage, but it's looking like it might be a little bit slower, but at the same time, the depth of the field doesn't change at all, and the amount of incredibly good swimmers that there are in the world isn't going to change. Maybe the absolute high-end performances might be a little bit different for a little while, but the racing's still going to be fast, and it'll still be tough to get those medals.
Now, you live in British Columbia, which is on the west coast, just sort of north of Washington in the United States. It seems to be where a lot of the best Canadians are swimming right now. You've got Ryan Cochran, Brent Hayden, Anna Mae Pierce. They all live in that state. I mean, is there something about that state that's great for swim training, or is that just coincidence?
Well, British Columbia as a province has been very high level for a very long time. We have had our program here at the University of British Columbia, and Tom Johnson, our coach, has been coaching here for well over 20 years, and it's probably the premier program in Canada in terms of university swimming. When I was swimming my varsity years here, we won all 5 years of my in terms of team titles, and it was a part of the stretch where we won 10 years in a row. And so that level of swimming has been very good in this area of the country for a very long time. And Victoria, just across the strait from us here in Vancouver, has also been producing several great swimmers over the past few years, highlighted by Ryan, but he's certainly not the only one, and there's a few that are going to be coming up and making a name for themselves over the next couple of years heading into 2012. And I don't know what it is about this area in particular, but for one reason or another, we've been able to develop a lot of very high-level athletes, and we seem to attract a lot of the best athletes in the country as well, and continue to have that success.
Now, we've seen some of the best Canadian swimmers, like Julia Wilkinson, come to study in the United States and train here. Why did you stay there? Is the university system pretty strong there, or would you say most people do leave or train independent?
Generally, the way that our programs are set up is that they're a little bit of a centralization of talent. And so we now have national swim centers set up in Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary, along with, and Montreal, along with Victoria. And we've pooled our resources into those specific areas, as they've been very important for us on the national stage in developing our swimmers, and because they are the largest cities in Canada as well, it's very easy to find the resources to give to them. And the more that we've sort of developed from the club level, we're starting to attract more people like Julia Wilkinson, who went down to the States, did her school down there, and now she's coming back because the funding is better now than it was when she was going down, or even when people my age were going down to the States to train. It's a little bit better now to be able to swim full time and have the high-end coaching that we need in order to succeed at the highest level.
Could you get specific? Because I know this is a hot topic with swimmers who don't get to make a ton of money like other athletes in other sports. How much do they give you as a stipend, the Canadian government or swimming federation? And then on top of that, I mean, is that enough for you to live, or do you have to make more money elsewhere?
It kind of varies from province to province. We have our federal funding system, which gives us about 1,500 Canadian a month, which is barely enough to get by in most places. We have our provincial carding systems in BC. It's fairly substantial. The highest end swimmers could get up to $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year, and those two combined are just enough to kind of get by. We don't pay taxes on that money, so it's good enough to live and compete at the same time. But at the same time, that if we want to go to Europe for travel meets, or go even, I did a training camp at USC before I went up to Santa Clara, and that's stuff that I have to pay for or my club has to pay for, and it can be difficult to find those resources from time to time. But we're starting to get better in terms of identifying what we need the most and ensuring that those athletes get what they have. So
sometimes it can be a challenge for sure to go and compete overseas, maybe try and get that level of competition. You're sort of hamstrung to meets in the U.S. and Canada more than maybe you'd like?
A little bit. Fortunately, because we are on the West Coast, we get the access to the West Coast of the United States, so we have the good racing that we can go down to California, and there's always fast meets there like Santa Clara or Janet Evans coming up in a couple weeks. But if we wanted to race like the Europeans and stuff like that, it gets a little bit more challenging. We did send a team of about a dozen people or so to the Mare Nostrum tour, and we probably couldn't send many more than that without hamstringing ourselves too much in terms of cash. But at the same time, those people who did go get an invaluable experience that will help them out in the long run.
Do you like racing Michael Phelps, or in a way is it a little defeating at times?
Oh, I love it. It's always a challenge, that's for sure. Phelps, especially because I'm an IMer, I feel like that he might be that's probably what you might say he is the best at. So it's definitely difficult sometimes racing against him, but at the same time, we're not in this sport to take it easy, and to be able to race against Phelps and like Ryan Lochte, some of the best people in the world, it's always a challenge, and I crave having that challenge.
And by the way, I didn't mean defeating to you personally. He beats everybody, so it's,
yeah, exactly.
Were you? Did you think he was going to be there at Santa Clara? Were you a little bummed that you didn't get to race him then?
I was hoping he was going to be there, but I mean, he's got his own meet schedule, and we can't really plan our meets in hopes that he's going to show up or go all over the country and try and race him. We just have to stick with our own game plan, and hopefully when we get there, the best racers will show up. This time around, Michael didn't come. That's unfortunate. Maybe next time he will. And I was really hoping to race Ryan Lochte in the 200 IM this time around, but I guess he's still recovering from his knee injury, so I didn't get a chance to do that either. But it was still a high level of competition at Santa Clara, and I got to race a couple of people who I'll likely be racing later on in the summer at Pan Pacs, as well as the Commonwealth Games, with the Australian team being there. So it's good to have that experience going into the summer.
Well, you'll probably get to race Phelps and Lochte at Pan Pacs as well. So
yeah, exactly.
There's always time. And will you be going to Commonwealth Games as well, or just Pan Pacs?
It's to be determined for Commonwealth Games. Our selection criteria is based off of Pan Pacific Championships. And so we're sending a relatively small team to Commonwealth, so it'll only be about 25 people compared to the 52 people we'll be sending to Pan Pacs. So it'll be it'll be a difficult team to make, but at the same time it's going to be an extremely good team, and pretty much everybody who's on that team will be a medal contender when they get to India for Commonwealths, and I hope to be a part of that.
Well, good luck at the meet.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, that's Brian Johns joining us from Vancouver, Canada. We want to give a quick thanks to Swim Network for providing us with some footage of Brian swims from Santa Clara. And that's it for the show today. I'm Peter Bush, reminding you to keep your head down at the finish.